In just 24 hours, these lambs have become the most pampered pets in the region. The Newcastle RSPCA their new home after being taken from a property in Madawi yesterday, when the RSPCA and police found the yard littered with the carcasses of 15 animals, with more than 100 animals seized. Animal welfare groups say the law has to be changed.
There needs to be a much more stringent licensing and regulation system whereby people have to care for these animals that they have there at a very, very high standard.
The proposed changes would cover operators of animal farms, pet shops and commercial kennels. Legitimate operators say they have nothing to fear from any proposed changes to the law. They say their animals are living proof of their quality of care.
That doesn't sort of worry us. We're governed by a authority, which is the New South Wales Agriculture. If you've been professional in what you do, it's good to have tough controls.
The state government says it's reviewing legislation, but any action will have been too late for these animals from Madawi. But there has been an overwhelming response from the public, which will ensure their next home will be a healthy environment.
People as far away as Lake Kajelico and to the Queensland border on the coast, phoning, offering assistance, offering financial assistance and also their properties and land.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Senior Constable Gary Coates was one of two police officers who were called to a house in Fathom Place, Salamander Bay in December last year. There they found 73-year-old Norman Tace. He had breached a bail undertaking that he not go near the area. Newcastle Supreme Court heard that Tace went to the back of a hire car and removed a .303 calibre rifle. He then pointed the weapon at the face of Senior Constable Coates. As Senior Constable Coates pushed the weapon away, it fired. The court was told a struggle in the back of the car then followed between the two police officers and Norman Tace. The weapon was eventually seized and disarmed by one of the officers. Detective Senior Constable Wayne Humphrey, who charged Tace with attempted murder, told the court of a conversation he had with Tace later that night. Detective Humphrey said Tace told him he owned the shortened rifle and it was he who loaded it. He said to Tace, "Why did you shoot at the policeman's head?" Tace allegedly replied, "This is like a fantasy." The jury is expected to retire tomorrow to consider its verdict. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Under the Honeysuckle Plan, this area at Hannell Street, Wickham, would be used for 500 dwellings of up to 4 storeys in height. The Tighes Hill branch of the ALP is opposed to the height and location of the development.
People who could end up living there will be less than 50 metres from 18,000 cars a day, which the branch feels is not a nice place to live.
Instead, Michael Robson says ALP's Tighes Hill branch wants the site used for open space, with limited opportunity for small-scale commercial development related to the harbour and foreshore. David Lamarchand says the Honeysuckle Development Corporation is awaiting a rezoning decision by council.
Our current application for rezoning of that area is before the council now and is going through the due process.
Meanwhile, the Honeysuckle Board today held its first public meeting. The community will be advised through the newspapers 10 days before each meeting. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
It would be hard to find a coat of paint that's caused so much trouble. The corporate colours of Dick Smith Electronics too bright for the heritage theme of High Street.
We've opened 108 stores around Australia. We haven't really had too many dramas as far as that sort of thing goes.
The problem started in May, when the store moved across the street before giving its corporate signature to the former bank building. Council has ordered the company to rethink the paint job, the stance supported by some shoppers in the city's CBD today.
Maybe Federation colours, maybe a bit more green. and a bit less on the yellow.
Just too bright and too glaring.
But the move has been opposed by some locals who fear it sends the wrong message to small businesses.
I think they should leave it the way it is. That's the national corporate colours of that firm, and here we are in Maitland trying to encourage businesses to come to our city, and we're putting limitations on them being here.
The company has submitted a new colour scheme that is closer to the heritage colours of surrounding buildings. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
The first of many expected spectators began arriving at the ground a short time ago for the Breakers' return to the National League. The youth side was given the honour of wearing the club's new strip for the first time, with the club hopeful of attracting a crowd of several thousand for first grade at 7:45. In rugby league, SG Ball representative John Jones received the Brian Carlson Award today. Jones is among the night's best junior talent and joins some elite names who have received the honour, including Andrew Johns, Brett Kamali and Owen Craigie. In tennis, some of these juniors are barely bigger than the rackets they wield with such precision. They play and celebrate like they're more senior idols. 96 children representing 12 different regions have been contesting the McDonald's 10 and under state championships, which finished in Newcastle today.
The same problem too. All right, Therese, you ready? Yes. Go. All right, 30 seconds. Crikey, this is like the AJ Simpson thing, isn't it? Crikey, look at that. She's got the big boxes. She's 10 seconds, 11, 12. Oh my gosh, she's going for the top shelf. Yeah. She's got 10 seconds left, Therese.
Oh, crazy, Therese.
Come on.
Therese, go.
Oh, no. 3, 2, 1. That's it, Therese. Come on down. Oh, no. She's grabbed the bear on the 31 second mark. We got to let it happen. Let's hear it for Therese this morning.
After a year in the wilderness and limited preparation, the Breakers were given a tough opening assignment in UTS Olympic. The Sydney-based club had most of the running in the opening minutes before a lapse at the back gave Jason Bennett his place in history, becoming the first goal scorer in the A-League's Ericsson Cup. One 1-0 up and the Breakers were proving solid in defence before a breakdown in communications gave Peter Sekenis the equaliser in the 35th minute. An Olympic could have led at half-time, but for a determined effort from Craig Carter. But there was nothing the goalkeeper could do 5 minutes into the second term when Ralph Mayer brought down Kimon Taliadoris, who made no mistake from the spot. 2-1 ahead, Olympic appeared to be in control when the tiring Breakers mounted an attack down the right wing, with man of the match Clayton Zane providing the cross, which eventually fell for Damien Brown. The goal rejuvenated Newcastle, who had a chance to win the match on 2 occasions, both involving Bennett. The second provided the game's biggest controversy when he was seemingly impeded on the edge of the area with just minutes remaining. Play was allowed to continue, much to the dismay of the Breakers coach.
The fact is, I think the referee pulled a heartstring on that one, mate. He's a little bit frightened to give one against a big-name club.
The Breakers received a standing ovation for their first outing and delighted Cosmina.
I'm over the moon about it. You know, I give the guys till Tuesday off. They can have a good breather. But I told them all to go and have a stretch on Sunday. And I run the backside off them on Tuesday. Get ready for next Saturday night.
The demanding 1.1 kilometre King Edward Park circuit can prove quite unforgiving. David Palmer walked away from this rollover unassisted yesterday, but his Toyota Sprint car wasn't as fortunate. No such problems today for a field of 65 in round 10 of the State Series. Finlay led the assault in his supercharged open wheeler, scorching through the park in 40.96 seconds, which broke the old mark established in 1990 by almost a second. He finished ahead of Neil Farr and Ron Hammond in his Elfin in both the feature event and the shootout. The first 7 cars all recorded times under 44 seconds, while Phil Limbert was the quickest saloon car. He raced up the hill in 44.07 seconds. The Motordrome also had its share of mishaps last night, this 4-car pile-up in the Super Sedan's final causing a delay and ending John Brown's chances. Alan Baker and John Pine survived to take part in a close scrap, with Baker able to withstand the challenge to take the checkered flag.
If you thought civic pride had taken a nosedive, Newcastle's Matara Festival seems to have undergone a resurgence. An estimated 50,000 people crammed into the inner city for festival activities, one of the most popular, the giant hour and 3/4 parade. Crowds were lined 5 and 6 deep along the footpath following the route of the spectacle. Line dancers were out in unprecedented force, along with the big rigs of the transport industry, promoting better understanding between truckies and the community. Sporting, social, school and special interest groups took to the streets. Festival crowds linked up with others for the increasingly popular Derby Street Food and Wine Fair.
American imports Butch Hayes and Reggie Smith, who was the league's leading rebounder, are expected to challenge for a position in the All-Star team. Tony Jensen is also vying for the Most Improved Player title, while coach Tom Wiseman is given a good chance of taking up the prestigious Coach of the Year award. In the Hawaiian Ironman, all 4 representatives from the Hunter finished the gruelling event conducted in 33-degree heat and 80 km/h winds. Scott Weavers completed the 3.8 kilometre swim, 180k cycle and 42k run in 10 hours and 5 minutes. Weavers was the 6th best Australian, finishing just 15 seconds ahead of Branxton's Kevin Kutcher. 35-year-old John Gilbert got home in 11.5 hours, while Mick Jurd had serious problems on the bike and was well below his best. In bowls, a host of international players took part in day 1 of the Charlie McNeil Memorial 2 Life Pairs. In just its 2nd year, the tournament has attracted another exceptional field, with the finals to be held on Friday. And yesterday, the Maitland team of Steve Cox and Terry Harmer won the State Pairs title, defeating John Wright and Pat Barwick.
The company beat 4 other tenderers for the rights to explore and evaluate the coal mining potential of seams under Tuggerah Lake and land northwest of Wyong. The Coal Operations Australia Limited consortium will spend $14 million on exploration and a further $4 million on a mine feasibility and environmental impact study. The state government announced the winning tender late this afternoon, with Minister for Mineral Resources Bob Martin claiming that the area can support a large underground coal mine. The minister says the environmental impact statement should be ready in time for production to start early in the next century. If the mine does go ahead, there's already predictions of massive economic benefits for Wyong and surrounding towns. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Next year's subscription series has been hailed as an unprecedented lineup of world-class talent. Nova Castrian Sue Cruikshank came home to help spread the word today. She'll be performing with the orchestra later this month under its new name, the Hunter Symphony Orchestra.
I think it's very strong, and I think that that's borne out by the wonderful logo that Peach Advertising has drawn up for us. And I think it is very strong, and I think the strength of our logo and the name, I think, is going to be reflected in the strength of the orchestra in years to come.
9 concerts will be staged next year through the Great Masters and Discovery series. Lovers of more popular music have also been catered for.
There will be very many concerts that we will be promoting during the year, which will be in the pop series, but they will be individually announced.
The orchestra is eagerly awaiting funding news from the Australia Council and the State's Arts Ministry. While it's had serious financial problems in the past, it's pressing on, relying heavily on community support and corporate sponsors.
The battle with an arts organisation is never over. The battle may be won, but the war is still on.
The barge seems small to tackle the relentless movement of sand along the floor of Swansea Channel, but its job will be to cut safe channels for boats, for this summer at least. With a quickly running tide, the shallows off Pelican have become hazardous for small craft, and in some places the water is only just over a metre deep. It's hoped the dredge, which operates like a big vacuum cleaner, can achieve a depth of at least 3 metres. Dredging will start later this week, and it will take about 3 weeks to remove the first and what's considered one of the most dangerous sandbars from the channel. The sand will be piped to the shores of a nearby bay. The second phase of the contract will see a channel cut through the area known as the Dropover off Marks Point, where sandbars have all but cut off the passage to deep-keeled yachts. Andrew Lobb, NBN News. After what was already a lifetime of sailing and ocean passages, Albie Bergen didn't get really serious about blue water racing until he was 70. That's when he built his yacht Alstar, which he's raced in and won nearly every single and short-handed race there is. Nowadays, he often enlists the help of a keen up-and-comer, eager to learn the ropes. Albie's one concession to his age is that from now on, he'll have company when he sails.
No, I'm afraid I just won't be able to do any single-handed races anymore because I have a heart complaint and I have to take medication to keep my blood thin. And if I have an accident, I wouldn't be able to stop the bleeding.
Albie says they call him the Admiral of Lord Howe Island. He's a familiar face out there and usually the first boat in. Alstar took line honours in last week's race.
We were over 7 hours ahead of the second boat.
And what of the risks involved in offshore sailing?
Well, there is an element of risk, but I think there's more risk on the roads than what there is out there if you know what you're doing, of course.
Thousands of young Australians need glasses to correct eye problems, but tests underway at Newcastle University show that certain lenses may actually make short-sightedness worse in growing eyes. Dr Sally McFadden has developed a program putting tiny spectacles on animals like pigeons and chickens, testing their eye development.
If you put lenses in front of an animal while it's growing, you can make the eye completely adjust itself depending on the power of the lens.
Dr McFadden's research is regarded as important in that she has also worked with guinea pigs. As mammals, their reactions are similar to humans. So are we injuring young people's eyes with glasses?
One wouldn't recommend not wearing glasses either. It's almost a catch-22 situation.
Optometrists point out that the study deals with very powerful lenses.
We're talking about putting very strong powered lenses in front of chickens, guinea pigs' eyes, that sort of thing, where you would obviously never do that in reality with a child.
While the basis of the research is accepted, optometrists say such work is taken into account when prescriptions are made.
Because of these sorts of information coming out of research, then it means as a practitioner we're always very careful in how we do prescribe lenses.
The workplace agreement to bring online 3 single-operator garbage trucks by early December was signed at the Maitland Works depot today. The deal was 12 months in the making, involving lengthy talks between council and the employees' union.
Because of the push of the governments in the present states and the way they're going towards contracting and competitive tendering, this is a way that we could combat that, and we're very pleased with the result.
Maitland is following the lead of other councils that have adopted the one-arm garbage trucks and claims it will save ratepayers about $700,000 over the next 2 years. And instead of garbage being picked up from 2 a.m, the collection time has been pushed forward.
I guess we're pleased to say that under the new agreement we can provide a better service and provide it starting at 6 a.m, which is going to make certainly a great many people in Maitland much happier than they've been in the past.
The new agreement will result in a major restructure of the city's waste service division, the first of many reforms.
We're looking at the work practices we have at the moment, looking at people starting and finishing on the job, just to get better value all the way around and more work done for the same amount of money.
The news comes as a bitter blow for the club.
Adamstown have been relegated from the Super League division of the New South Wales competition back to First Division. I'm still in a state of shock. I don't know just what we're going to do at the present time.
Just a matter of weeks after the Breakers rejoined the National Soccer League, Newcastle's other soccer force has been dropped.
This club, in its entire history, has had more Australian players and more Australian captains than any other club in Australia. So it's a pretty proud history we have.
It's believed the number of State League teams have been reduced from 14 to 12. Up to 4 teams have been cut, with Parramatta moving in from the National League and possibly a Central Coast side also joining. Rosebuds are angry about the change after the club overall had a reasonable year this season.
They've made that decision on the performance of one team, our first grade, who did finish second last this year. But our under-8, under-21s made the grand final, our under-18s made the semi-finals, and to me I think it's a pretty harsh decision.
Once upon a time there lived a king in a faraway land. The king's name was Bunyan.
The comedy of King Bunyan is a story of a royal conflict told by a cast of puppets.
Well, basically it's the story of 2 kings at war. It's the story of a king and his 2 sons and his fool. Now they all have to stick together as a family to escape the evil clutches of the evil king.
The work of 18-year-old Ben Frost was judged the Matara Festival's Best Film and Best Fiction Drama. The Year 12 Hunter Valley Grammar School student wrote, produced, directed and even made the puppets that star in the 6-minute production.
It was fun, but there was a lot of hard times, especially with puppets. They're really hard to work with.
The video is also Ben's HSC 3-unit artwork, his early success in the movie-making business giving him just the encouragement he needs.
I'd like to probably work in film, but television would be good as well. Probably make a big movie with a budget more than I can afford.
This plaque, which was dedicated in 1980, is a testament to the time that's passed since a courthouse was first planned for Toronto. 15 years later, and the proposal is still being mooted. A delegation of police, public works and government officials inspected the site today, which fronts busy Carey Street opposite the police station. While local business people are keen to have the courthouse built, they believe it should be located elsewhere. They want the government to sell the land and buy houses surrounding the police station.
Times have changed and the designs of courts have changed, and the Attorney-General's Department have said they would prefer to see, in this day and age, police stations and courts co-located, being adjacent to each other. So that's what the meeting today is about.
The Chamber of Commerce believes the vacant land could be better used.
Good quality retail development, perhaps fast food, perhaps could just normal retail development, something like a departmental store would go very well on that sort of site.
Local member Jeff Hunter is confident construction of the $4.5 million courthouse will begin before the end of the century. It will service the Westlake Macquarie area, replacing the complex at Wallsend.
Labor promised before the election that they would construct this courthouse, and I believe that we'll see construction started in this first term. So before 1999, I believe we'll see work on the site.
These teenagers consider themselves lucky. They're the last to complete a special 6-week Get Started training program that teaches them skills to enter the workforce. Despite pre-election promises, the state government has axed the scheme along with 2 others that have helped young and mature-aged unemployed people in the Hunter find jobs.
It's given them the edge in terms of getting into the employment area, and we've seen hundreds of young people gain employment through the programs that we've run.
The Hunter Mission, which coordinates the training programs, says the cutbacks will also result in staff cuts. 10 jobs will go from the mission's offices at Newcastle, Wallsend and the Entrance. The state government says training is a federal responsibility. But others argue Commonwealth programs focus on the long-term unemployed.
And so our concern is that we're going to have quite a number of people who are unemployed under 12 months and have nothing to access.
With the region's youth unemployment figure at just under 20%, the decision has come as a devastating blow.
It's pretty selfish of the government to do something like this, because it's like really helping us out a lot, and a lot of my friends have done this course and it's like they've all got jobs now. And
it's helped me a lot so far already, and it's only been going for about 4 days. So I think I'd probably be in dire straits without it, yeah.
Along with many others, this motorist thinks he's helping Trevor Davis and his guide dog Grace to cross the road. He's actually making a challenging job even harder.
If drivers alter their behaviour, then the person won't be able to make the right decision. All of a sudden they've got something to be confused about.
The Guide Dog Association has launched a campaign to teach motorists how to make the task easier for a blind or visually impaired person.
If the drivers behave normally, go about their business in a normal way, the vision impaired person has the tactics and the training to cross roads safely and efficiently, and they'll do so.
26-year-old Kayleen Brennan is totally blind but well equipped. Her training and skills underestimated by many motorists.
And they think that they're helping out, but really it's more of a hindrance.
To well-meaning drivers, some good advice.
Treat us as a normal pedestrian. We know what we're doing, and they've got a job to do driving their cars, and concentrate on what they're doing.
Drive by the road rules and just concentrate on their driving and leave us to do our road crossings and whatever else we're doing. We've been trained and we're capable.
Dane Wynn didn't let favourite backers down, paying $2.70 and $1.30. The two long-shot place-getters helping to boost the trifecta to more than $600 after Mr Marconi was elevated to third after a protest. But the star of the day was yet to emerge, with the Caulfield Guineas showcasing the best 3-year-olds in the country. A stroll in the park for the Boom colt. He paid $1.90 and $1.30. The trifecta $72.90.